Yeah, I want to react to this. So let's go.
It's disgusting. And you should be damn ashamed of yourself. And I don't believe that. And I'm not going to fight until people like you do not have a place to come on here on my campus that I paid a school to go to and spew your fucking lies. I have a personal question for you. Are your beliefs about abortion and life and conception, that does that have anything to do with your personal religious beliefs? Your belief that life is a
I don't really get it. One thing. Why is it always seems like the pro abortion side has a lot of like loudness and anger, but it's almost like there's really no argument behind it. It's just a lot of emotion. They always try to claim the other side is emotional, but you always see things like this where where they think I guess their strongest argument is being very loud, rambunctious, and just basically emotional, but not really being logical, which kind of has a lot to do with how they don't really talk about the facts. Now, the other thing I found interesting was why did she think that religion was telling you when life starts? I mean, I know some religions might have that, but many religions don't specifically talk about when life starts, if it's at conception. So I kind of find that interesting that they always associate it with religion instead of reality. I mean, for one, it's weird. If they don't think the person is living, how come they have their own DNA and they continue to exist and survive and have their own heartbeat, you know, at as young as some ideas of how young um, unborn children may have their hearts is actually at 4 weeks, a little bit before 4 weeks um, of pregnancy. But detectable, it's 5 weeks and a couple days. But this is hypothesized because of other mammals and development. But anyway, my whole point is it's early on in pregnancy that we know that the unborn child has a heartbeat, has its own DNA, has its own life. Yet somehow you want to say that human life doesn't start at conception when literally the DNA was created at conception. It's not created at birth. Like, if it was really that someone was created at birth, then wouldn't they not be able to say that they have a distinct genome from their mother and their father? You know, their own DNA, their own living DNA. To me, it's just weird how they don't pay attention to these obvious facts that it's well known that life starts at conception. So it's kind of weird to me, like when they say, oh, it's religion. Religion doesn't determine scientific fact in the sense that it is stated in religious scriptures. You know, this is stated by biology. To me, it seems like these people make themselves seem like they're very emotional and they're very loud and they're not listening and they're almost like the type that can't learn, basically, and like they're not logical. It's like they can't have a logical argument on this issue, to me. Anyway, continue.
it's a conception that is not shared by a lot of people. It's not shared by me. It's not shared by any of my friends. So I'm asking you, why should your moral belief be the end all be all and make the law and take away the right to a scene of
So that's what I don't get. Why they always say morals. They always start talking about religion and all this stuff. Like, I'm not pro life because of religion. I'm not. I'm pro life because, well, if we are allowed to kill people who are unborn, then why can't we kill people who are born? To me, I don't get it. It's like You're saying that someone is alive and it's inconvenient for them to be alive, so it bothers you, right? Then, if that's the case, then wouldn't it be safe to say that someone who's living, who's inconvenient to your life, which there's lots of people who have different positions in their life, at jobs, in their housing, in their neighborhood, any different thing that may be affecting another person, you know, in any regard, may be making another person's life less ideal. Especially, people can be bad manner, bad temper, they can be bad bosses, they can um, make life hard at work, life hard at, in your home. This doesn't give you any right to obviously kill anyone. But what I'm trying to say is living people affect other living people, whether they're born or unborn, right? So then it's kind of like weird to me when they say like that it's religion that makes someone pro-life. For me, it's not specifically religion that makes me feel that way. It's mainly because I don't understand why it would be okay to kill someone unborn because it's inconveniencing you, but someone born, it's completely wrong. It just doesn't make sense. Where are we going to draw the line? We're never going to draw the line. And then eventually we're just going to legalize murder altogether. And then obviously that would be a dangerous world to live in. So for those reasons, I do not support that kind of lifestyle or that kind of world. Because I wouldn't want to live in that type of world. I mean, if people were so easily able to kill other people just off of convenience, that wouldn't be safe for the born or unborn. Anyway, continue.
Clean, safe abortion for women to have. And the fact
I never understand this, why they say clean, safe abortions, too. There is no such thing as a safe abortion. Abortion is never safe because the procedure is literally on the unborn child. It's not on women, by the way. It's on an unborn child, and it's meant to kill the unborn child. So, obviously, that's not safe. Killing someone is definitely the opposite definition of safety. I mean, if there's anything less unsafe than that, I don't know about that. That's the ultimate. So, there is no safe abortion.
that you can sit here and say that the rapist baby, the seed or whatever you want to call it, the baby that's still in your
The rapist baby. Now, this seems mentally ill at this point. You really mean to tell me that you think that an unborn baby raped somebody? That's really sick. I mean, born babies or unborn babies? No babies rape anybody. And if you think they do, I think you need a mental hospital, honestly, because you obviously aren't actually living in the real world, in reality, where, obviously babies don't rape anybody. They're babies. To me, people like this have a mentality that is very unsafe to be around any child. I mean, if you really think a child is its parent, then you won't be safe around children who are, born, who are the child of bad parents. You might want to kill them too, because that's what you just basically said, rapist baby, right? It's a rapist baby whether it's born or unborn to you. So it's like you have this irrational thought that it makes you a danger to society, honestly. But continue.
belly and that it's not born yet, that you should be forced to have that. It's disgusting. And the fact that you can come over here and have an entire career based off of this, and I'm not done speaking. And then you can sit here in front of my friend who was a victim of rape and say that she should have that baby. It's disgusting. And you should be damn ashamed of yourself. And I don't believe that. And I'm not going to
It's disgusting to say that it's disgusting to say that the birth of a child is somehow abuse or something to someone else. It's just the birth of a child, just like you were born, just like everyone else was born. It's not like it's something that's abnormal. I mean, every human goes through this stage of life. I don't really get what people mean when they say it's disgusting. What exactly is disgusting? The child being an unborn child, just like you were unborn? The birth of the child? I don't really get it. Are you saying that rape is disgusting? Because rape is disgusting, but that's got nothing to do with the child that's unborn. That's not the act of rape, it's a child who's unborn, just like any other unborn child. So, yeah. Anyway, continue.
Fight and tell people like you do not have a place to come on here on my campus that I paid a school to go to and spew your lies.
Well, I believe in the First Amendment. Do you believe in the First Amendment?
To me, it seems like she's spewing lies. I mean, like, one, you say that babies can rape people or that they're a rapist baby or something like that. Then, secondarily, you try and say that it's morals that make people against killing children who are unborn. When it's just like, no, it doesn't have to specifically do with religion. It has to do with the practicality of the matter and also the fact that we understand what it is. You, on the other hand, are too emotional to understand what it is. And you're too emotional to actually realize what you're saying about yourself.
Do you?
Do you believe in the First Amendment? I've allowed you to sit here and scream at me for an hour and a half
I'm
and
saying I don't
yell
believe that you
vile,
should have the
disgusting
right to
things.
take away my access to a clean, safe abortion as a human right. I have the right to have the autonomy over my own body. You have the right.
That's another thing. When they try and say autonomy over people's bodies, and it's like, you do know what the procedure of abortion is. I don't understand these people. Like, look up the procedure of an abortion. What is done during an abortion? Who is having the abortion procedure done on them? And you would know that the instruments are coming in contact with the unborn baby, killing the unborn baby. It's not having anything to do with the mother's body. Specifically, you're done with, like, when they're done with the abortion procedure, they examine the body and the DNA to make sure all parts are taken out of the mother. So obviously the procedure is done on the baby, not the mother. So when you guys say bodily autonomy has to do with this for the mother, it's not quite correct, because it's more so bodily autonomy, I guess, for the child, which would actually go in uh, the child's favor, unborn child's favor. So, I mean, like, that's not a good argument. Continue with the video.
Right to your autonomy over your own body. We both get knocked up, have sex, both of us pregnant. You want to abort it? You don't want to abort it? Your decision. If I want to abort it, I'm gonna fucking do that. Okay. So who are you to sit here
Yeah,
and
so
tell
if I don't
me
want to own a slave,
that?
but you want to own a slave, am I supposed to just sit around and say that?
Do not sit here in front of a microphone and compare owning a slave to.
I don't get why that would be such a big difference. It's the dehumanization of human beings in both cases. Slavery was the dehumanization of black people, and abortion is the dehumanization of unborn children. So, yeah, you're just upset because, one, honestly, the people who push abortion are the same people who are on the side in favor of slavery. Liberals on both sides were in favor of these two things. And it's no coincidence that the majority of people well, a good portion of people who lose their lives to abortion are actually black people. Like, literally. This is why abortion, being illegal in many states, is actually affecting a lot of black unborn children more than any other race. It's weird when people try to say this has to do with white people and their population, when if you pay attention to, like, places like Alabama where abortion is illegal, 75% of the people getting abortions are black. So it's actually that they're actually helping the black populations. They're helping black unborn children, you know. So I mean, like, when we really think of this actually does have a lot to do with ethnicity as well, because there's a reason why a lot of people who get abortions are black women, and that affects a lot of black lives, much more than other races. We would be literally twice our population without abortion alone in the black population. So abortion has actually kept black people's numbers as a small minority. We would right now be the second largest population, the largest minority racial group if we didn't have abortion in America. But because we do, black people are half the population they would potentially be just off of abortion alone. So, I mean, when we're really talking about this whole situation, it's like, yeah, abortion does have to do with race. And, you know, as a black person myself, that's another reason why I am very much pro life, because, it does benefit black lives. I mean, if any other issue, meaning that black lives matter, this one would be it, especially since abortion is like the biggest killer of black lives. So anyway, continue.
To me, you white
That's the
fucking
argument.
bitch. You have no idea to sit here and say this shit to me.
Ma'am, that is the argument you just made.
No, it's not.
This is
No, it is
absolutely
not.
the
That is your incorrect interpretation. That is a logical fallacy.
That
You
is the
think you can
argument.
sit here and go ring around
Ma'am,
the
that
rosy
is
with
the
me?
argument. Are you done with your question? Because you asked me like.
You haven't answered anything. You've actually
You
just
haven't
made a
let me
statement and
answer
completely
anything.
deterred my
All
argument
right,
in a
you can
completely
sit
different
down
way.
and I can
Oh,
answer
do
your
you think that
question.
you can own a sleeve? If I want to own a sleeve, can I own a sleeve? How can you sit here with a straight face and say that to me?
How
Is you
yeah.
not embarrassed
Okay,
of
do
yourself?
you want me to answer your question? How can you sit here and deny biology?
How can you sit here and deny biology? I'm asking you the same question.
Do you want me to answer your questions? If you will sit.
Biology never supports abortion in any regard. I don't understand what you mean about biology it supports the pro-abortion, not choice, argument. How? It doesn't. There's nothing about biology that supports it. In fact, it would just prove that there are two lives, two people, and abortion isn't even done on women. Women pay for abortions to be done on their unborn children, so then they can be killed by abortion. But women don't have abortions done to them. They don't lose arms, they don't lose legs, their heads aren't crushed. This is what happens in an abortion procedure. These women don't have any of that happening to them. When they take all of the body parts out, a DNA analysis would let you know that none of that person's body belonged to the woman, because by DNA, that's not even her DNA. So it's not her body and it's not her choice. But I do think that pro abortion people are very anti choice, because they do not believe in the choice for the person who is actually getting the abortion procedure done on them. Because, I mean, like, let's be honest, the unborn child is getting an abortion done on them without their consent. Let them choose whether they would rather live or not. And this is the thing, an unborn child who is born, and some people will say, oh, they'll live a terrible life and all this stuff. If they lived a bad life that they didn't want to live, they could easily choose not to live it. We all have the right to take ourselves out if we want to. So, I mean, like, give the child a right to choose to live or die, not someone else. Don't put someone else's life in someone else's hands. That's basically what I don't like here. I think people have the right to bodily autonomy. And I think that people have the right to choose their destiny and their fate. And they don't have the right to choose for someone else. They have the right to choose for themselves. So, anyway, continue.
Down, I will answer your question.
I'm going to stand right here and I
Okay,
want you
well,
to
then you
tell
gotta
me
stop
how you
talking
think it's
so I can
okay to
answer your
compare
question.
owning a slave to having an abortion. It is
Yes.
not even in the same ballpark.
Yes, because
Black people were not seen as people in this country.
yes,
They were
just like what you've
enslaved.
done time and time again tonight to an unborn child. You have argued.
Unborn child, not living.
You all,
Black people already.
See, this is what I mean. What is this person saying, not living? Unborn children are definitely living. They have the living human DNA at conception. If they're not living, then how do they have DNA at conception? That is their human living DNA. I don't get that. Like, these people will talk about biology, and then they'll realize that biology doesn't support your argument of saying they're not living. You're saying things that aren't true. Like, it's her body when it's not her body. She just paid for an abortion to be done on her unborn child's body. Or like this situation where you're saying an unborn child is not living when that's not true. An unborn child is clearly alive, clearly living since conception. So, I mean, you're just yelling a whole bunch of lies out at people emotionally, and you're not actually able to have an educated argument. But I've never really seen an educated argument on pro abortionist views, honestly. Continue.
Existed. They were born.
unborn
They were
children are
like
living,
literally
ma'am.
born into slavery.
Would you like me to answer your question? I can't answer if you keep screaming at me. Do you want me to answer your question?
I'm waiting.
Are you going to stop
Are
talking?
you going to answer my question?
Yes.
Or are you going to sit here and look stupid? I'm quiet right now. I'm quiet.
This is why we have the First Amendment. So
Am I speaking?
So, no. When we talk about abortion, we talk about the living human being that's present inside of a mother's womb. Biology confirms this fact. This is not a religious belief that I hold. This is a scientific fact. The law of biogenesis says life begets life. We know the definition of life, and we know what's inside of a mother is living because that child is growing. You can call the child a fetus, a clump of cells, whatever, but the fact is that entity, which is a member of our human species, because two humans, can't reproduce anything other besides a human, is in fact alive. The arguments that you're making to support your extremist beliefs to justify abortion is that
basic
the
human
child
right that
in
you're
the
trying to
womb
take away
doesn't
from
have
me.
value.
Yeah, it's not a right to be able to get someone else to make someone else have to go through an abortion procedure that will ultimately cause their demise. It is not a right to have basically to be able to cause someone else's demise. Like, I don't understand why people think that they have the right over other people's bodies. An unborn child isn't a woman's body. You know, an unborn child's life isn't a woman's life, mother's life. It's not, it's got nothing to do with her in regard to her physical body, her life, even her future. Because the baby doesn't even have to be in her life after 9 months. So that's why I always think, like, what does this person have to do with you in regard to you having any right to kill this person? No one has a right to take someone else's life because it's an innocent life. It's that child's body, child's life, that child's choice, that child's DNA. You know, that's what's just annoying to me. It's like, you guys should already know this, but you guys, like I said, you think in an emotional way that you can't really think of the situation in a logical way.
argument you're trying to and failing to make, in the argument that you really
don't get to
should be
sit here and tell me what my
debating on-
argument is. If you want to
Ma'am,
answer
you
my
said you'd be
question, then
quiet.
answer my question.
Ma'am,
Wow,
you said
she's
you'd be
angry.
quiet.
Answer the
The
question.
argument you're failing to make, and what argument you should be making, is that you believe that the human inside of the womb has less value than a woman, and that certain people get
Yes,
to
it
decide.
does, because it's her body,
Exactly.
her choice.
Exactly.
Her body,
That is
exactly.
your
Her body, her
Ma'am,
choice.
that is
Yeah, but it's not her body and it's not her choice. It's the unborn baby's body and the unborn baby's choice. So I don't get these type of people. They just take ownership over some random person's body, someone else's DNA, someone else's life, someone else's choice, and then say it's all theirs. Like, so entitled, honestly. You only have rights over your body, not someone else's. And if you want to elect to have an abortion literally done on your body, where you lose your limbs and you lose your head and your head gets crushed and so forth, I think you have every right to do that while not pregnant, though. But I do agree with that, because I do agree with suicide. Like, you can choose to end your life if you want to. But maybe there's other ways to do assisted suicide. But anyway, it's your body, it's your choice. If you want an abortion literally done on you, this case is not having an abortion literally done on you, because the abortion is being done on the unborn child. No one elects for an abortion to be actually done on them. So that's all I have to say there.
your argument. It is not that it's not a human being or that's living, because that's flat out denying biology. We know it's living, and we know it's a human being.
What else?
What you're arguing is that child doesn't have the same right to life as his or her mother, because you have decided, what you said during your comments, was that if I got pregnant and chose not to have an abortion, I can do that. But you can choose to have abortion, because the mother gets to decide the value of that person.
The mother,
that is
it's the mother's
exactly,
child. That's
Ma'am,
exactly what
you're
I'm
not letting me answer your question. That's exactly what
Shut up.
happened. That's exactly what happened in pre-Civil War America. You could choose to assign value to Black Americans depending on what you felt like. You could say, oh, I am against slavery because I know these people are human beings that have value, and no one has the right to own another human person. But if I was a plantation owner in the South, I could say, yeah, they have some value, but they don't have full value, because I deem it's a slippery slope. And that is not, by the way, that is not a religious belief. This is a scientific belief that this is a human being. Where we can differ on our belief is the value we assign. No, there's other people behind you. There's value that you assign to human beings. That is the actual debatable question here today. Is what is the value we assign to human beings in the womb? Does a human being in the womb have the same value, the same right to life as other people, or do they not? That is the true pro-abortion argument. That if you would have taken an hour to research, you could have come and made. But you failed to do that because you denied biology. Next person. No, you can get behind the line. Back of the line. You can get in the back of the line. She's been waiting patiently.
An idea that you have of what we believe in and push it back in my face, but it's not going to work. Your
You
little
can get in the back of the line.
logical fallacy, ring around the rosy, will not work on us. You disgust me, and if
All right,
biology,
she's been waiting to speak, ma'am. You're not allowing other women to speak.
Yeah, so honestly, I think in that situation, it was interesting because at first she seemed like she actually agreed. Then she realized what it made her seem like. Like, she was like, oh, that's right. The mother determines the value. Which is so weird, because it's like, okay, so the mother determines the value. But what if the mother determines the value of the child as a born child? You're saying that you think that a mother should be able to kill her child at 2 years old? Like, that makes no sense to me. You can't depend on sick, murderous people to not want to kill their children at 2, as opposed to 2 months unborn, 2 months pregnant. So to me, it's just like, I kind of feel like it's like you guys don't make any sense here with that whole situation to me, because it's like you want to say, oh, it's value in that regard, but it's just like, then when they really realize it, it's like it's the same thing as like in slavery, when devaluing an unborn child is the same as devaluing black people, during slavery. And saying that some people can get abortions, some people can't, and some people can get slaves, and some people can't and choose not to. To me, it's. I agree with her statement there. The Kristen Hawkins. I agree with what she was saying there. It's just, to me, honestly, like I kind of find it weird how a lot of pro abortion people have an argument, but they don't want to explain it completely, because I think they realize how bad they look when we let them, like, look in the mirror, basically. And it's just interesting to me because it's like, personally, to me, like, there's nothing in the pro life or pro choice, because pro life is pro choice, by the way. Um, Ideology that specifically would make me feel like, oh, no, I don't want people to realize that's how I am. No, nothing about my view on being pro life is something that I'm ashamed of or realize is wrong, but I don't want to admit to it, like this lady. But yeah, it was just interesting. Anytime you let pro abortionists see who they truly are, they end up realizing how they end up getting more angry, basically, because it's like they already know that's what's wrong, or like that their stance is wrong, but they don't really want to admit that their stance is wrong, because they still want to kill unborn children, because they have an obvious hate for children for some weird reason, And I don't understand why they think this is a normal ideology, or like normal way of thinking women need rights, equal rights. These aren't equal rights. This is preaching hate against a certain population, specifically unborn children who are the most innocent. And you could feel the hate coming off of her as well. It's interesting. Nobody really pays attention to a lot of the time when pro abortionists get really intense. They do have a lot of hate inside them for unborn children. Pro life people, we don't have hate for anyone. We don't have hate for women. We don't have hate for unborn children. We would like to see both people, make it through the 9 months, live their lives, live their healthy lives, you know, happy and long and, successful lives. We don't hate either. But it's like pro abortionists definitely hate children. They hate unborn children because they hate what they become, which is born children. And that many of the time, the argument is what kind of child they'll be, what kind of childhood they'll live, and if they'll be a poor child, if they'll be a child who is unwanted by parents, or whatever else they may say, basically. But the end result is they don't want them to be a born child, because they hate babies, they hate born babies, they hate children. And you can see this with many other things, like this is why they roll back on like sexual abuse for children, like statutory rape and so forth. It's because they don't like children. The left doesn't like children, and they've shown this time and time again with how they treat children in school and so forth. There's so many different things being done to children that implies that, the liberal left really doesn't like children. And the pro abortion stance is a big focal point of how you can see how much they hate children. So, anyway, that's all I have to say in this video. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, comment down below, and have a great day. Bye, guys.